Guys, I have three different videos in my phone that I made. I made one last night, 45 minutes long, and I made two today. Like one is over an hour, and the other one is also a bit long. Basically, I was just venting out my emotions and trying to correct people and talking about who they are. So I'm calling them out and correcting them because I think adults, when they become adults, they don't have anyone that corrects them. And one thing I've realized, or one thing I've learned from being a liberal person that talks to people, regardless of you being a child or you being an adult, is that humans are the same thing. Adults are just children in a big body that have more experience and have lived longer. But in some cases, you can be a child or you can be a child when it comes to like your age and you know a whole lot more than an adult. But the problem is when a person becomes an adult, people revere that adulthood and they stop correcting them. And that is why when you're an adult, it is difficult for you to grow. And that is why most adults are stuck in their ways. Because one, people will barely correct you because you're an adult. Nobody will want to correct you. And two, most adults have very limited worldview. Now, I'm going to make a video talking about different things from one lecture I took this morning, and it is amazing. But basically, if you are an adult, even depending on the class that you come from, if you are a upper class adult or a lower class adult, you will tend to propagate the behavior of the people that you are primarily surrounded with. And I am also personally scared because I don't want to be an adult that one cannot be corrected, and two, an adult that has become fixed in their worldview, because adults usually are fixed in their worldview. If you remember vividly as a child, you used to look up to adults like, why are adults so wicked? Like, weren't they children before? Sometimes you think to yourself, why don't adults listen? But do you know the scary thing is that now that you're an adult, there is a high chance that you are also exhibiting the same traits that made relating with adults very difficult for you when you were a child. There is a very high chance that it is the same trait that you yourself are exhibiting and you don't even know. And you might even watch this video and be like, that is true. And then 5, 10 minutes after, you go back to the same behavior. And that is for an adult with a better sight of you. There are some adults that will watch this and be like, doesn't know what he's saying, he's still a small boy. Adults have more worldview. Yorùbá say, nǹkan tí ọmọdé bá gòkè láti rí, nǹkan tí àgbà bá rí tó bá jókòó, tọmọdé bá gun òkè kò lè rí. Meaning, what an adult sees while they are seated, if a child climbs a pole, it will not see it. It's very inaccurate. No, it is very inaccurate. Adults can know things that young children don't know, but there are also things that a young child can know that an adult cannot know. As a matter of fact, based on this lecture I took this morning, if you're a child from a rich parents background and you're an adult from a poor background, the child from a rich parents background knows things that you as an adult from a poor parents background, he knows things that you don't know. So even if you have more experiences than he does, he has many things that you don't have because his own exposure is inclined to a different worldview, whereas your own exposure is inclined to a different worldview. So, in as much as an adult, let's say you're 50 and this boy is 17, this 70-year-old boy, in some cases, has a different worldview that is inclined to a different perspective because of the socio-economic class that he belongs to. Whereas, even with all your experiences as an adult that is 50, if you come from a poor background, your worldview is different because of your socio-economic world group. And this is one thing I learned in this morning's lecture. This morning's lecture was just mind-blowing. And that is why I know I'm already like joining two things together, but I'll go back to my initial train of thought. But that is why rich people tend to get richer and richer, and they surround themselves with other rich people because their worldview compared to a poor person is very different. Like, it is very, very different. And I learned this when I was in Manchester, when I was just like trying to understand the social economic class of people. And this has nothing to, the crazy thing is, it has nothing to do with race. It's not a black people thing or a white people thing. It is just a social economic group thing. Because in Manchester, I realized that regardless of your skin color, and I know there's like the spiritual aspect, which is still quite astonishing how the spiritual aspect works, but with the physical aspect, regardless of your skin color, people living in the high ends of Manchester that are very rich, they are not the same. Okay, no, this is high. This is for rich people. So people reaching in the rich high ends in Manchester, regardless of your skin color, and the way people living in the poor areas of Manchester, the way they think is different. Like, it is different. Same way in Nigeria, people living in rich places in Nigeria and people living in poor places in Nigeria is different. Now, what do I mean? Because this is not just something of, I didn't just imagine this thing and I just pop it out. Now, should I talk about that part? Let me think. I'm trying to censor my content. But basically, as an adult, now I'm trying to connect everything together. So basically, because you're an adult doesn't mean you know more than a younger person. Although an adult can tend to know more than a younger person because they have more exposure, but your level of knowledge is not directly proportional to the age you are. So because you are older doesn't mean you know more, because a younger person could be younger and know more, and it's very interesting. Anyways, like and subscribe. I should make a video regarding the lecture I took this morning, but the problem is I'll have sent it to my iPhone and then use the script. But by script I mean the notes. My iPhone has paused, so I have to manually write everything down. Oh, anyways, I said that. Oh yeah. Oh my god, apologies. So I said that yesterday night I made a long video. Last night I made a long video. Today I made two series of long videos, and not as much as I really want to post them because I'm trying to, from my own perspective, I feel like I'll be correcting the adults and I'll be helping them, and also based on some weird intellectual things that I've been learning. That is also like a bit supernatural. I know. A bit supernatural. In as much as I'm learning these things and I'm understanding it, I don't want to risk it of trying to educate an adult or educate adults, because adults don't really take to correction, and before they take correction you have to try and try and try. So I want to find a way to be like Jesus. When Jesus tries to educate or correct people, he says it as a parable, and then he allows you to think. But in as much as that is good here, I think the best way you can really educate someone is to be straight and direct. Like, not strict, so be straight. Because when you're straight, you don't leave things to interpretation. You allow them know the errors of their ways. But which is funny because I am not a perfect person either. But because the way these adults act, I see them and then I self-reflect on the way they act, I self-reflect on the way I act, it makes me realize that, one, I never want to be an adult like them. Like, I never want to be an adult like them. But two, how am I a better person? Or how am I even a good person? How can I even claim to be a good person when I see people acting in a wrong way, but I'm too timid to talk about it? And my timidity is not because of lack of courage of speaking up, but my timidity is because I'm trying to be very intellectually inclined to the situation. So I don't want to speak emotionally, because I realize that in some of these videos I spoke emotionally, and although it is true, there are some emotions that I put into the videos. But now, how do I separate emotions from the video? I can make the video, watch it, and make another video. But after watching the video, I realized that I wasn't lying for the most part, although some parts were exaggerated due to my emotions. Or not exaggerated, some parts were, it's not exaggerated. I didn't exaggerate their behavior. As a matter of fact, I think I underplayed their behavior because I'm trying not to offend them. And when I make these videos, I think to myself, I will post it, but I eventually don't post it. And I don't post it because I feel like they are adults, and no matter what you tell them, they will not learn and they will not understand. And if they do learn and understand, the pace at which they will learn and understand will be so slow. And two, sometimes you have to think of the consequences of your actions. But when I think about it as these people being someone that's are my own people, like if a person is your flesh and blood, you think to yourself that, let me try to help. But then again, I'm starting to force myself to come to believe that it's raining heavy, it's raining cats and dogs, but I'm starting to force myself to believe that your availability to have resources, or your ability to be able to have resources, shows the level of intelligence you have. Because I don't think a poor person should advise others. So because I feel like I'm not in a level that speaks wealth, I cannot really advise people, which is very wrong. It is very, very wrong. But to an extent, it is not also 100% wrong. So, the person I am is, if I keep talking this way, my mind will keep flowing, and I'll keep flowing, and I'll keep flowing. So in conclusion, be an adult that loves to learn. Or rather, not even an adult, be a person, regardless of your age. Be a person that loves to self-reflect. Either you're 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Realize that you cannot know it all. And realize that you need to constantly self-reflect on who you are. Always self-reflect on who you are, so you can be a better person at all times. But you know what? I think it takes spirituality for you to self-reflect. I think for you to be able to self-reflect, it means that you've been endowed with some grace by God. Because it takes people a lot for them to even think to themselves that, am I actually capable of doing wrong? Because people do not actually believe that they can even do wrong. Or maybe some people, not people. Some people don't believe they can do wrong, which is strange and scary. So yeah, don't be a strange and scary person. Be a person that self-reflects. That is why I make some videos and I don't post them. That's why I also deleted over 1,000 videos. Although I feel like I shouldn't have deleted them. I was over self-reflecting, and I realized that better safe than sorry. Sometimes maybe you should not try to educate people at your own detriment. But how do you create a better world? And how do you even claim to love Jesus? Because love your Lord your God. So you should do things for God, not even for the people. And then now do things that you want to be done for yourself to other people. So in a way, when I use Christianity to measure the standards of my behavior, it allows me to think properly, and sometimes it allows me to be fearless. But it's not as much as it is allowing me to be fearless. The videos I made talking about the people I spoke about, I won't post it
and I'll just pray for them that Lord Jesus touch their hearts and let them be better. Because at the end of the day, I'm also Israel and I'm not perfect. And so because I'm not perfect, it is not easy for me to properly scold or try to correct people. Because if you want to correct people, you should also be correct. But then nobody's perfect. Nobody's good. And that's why sometimes the Bible scares me, because someone said, good master. And Jesus said, I am not good. How can Jesus say he's not good if he's the Son of God and he's God? But he said God in heaven is good. But you are God in heaven, that is you are God on earth, that is a representation of God in heaven. So you are God, so you should say you are good. But Jesus said he's not good. Or maybe because he's made of flesh and blood, that's why he's not good. Then that means he's also at some point, maybe he has also at some point succumbed to the effects of flesh. I'm just thinking. Because if he has not and he's God on earth, then you should say that yes. When they say good master, you should say yes because he's good, right? And that's why I also apply wisdom to everything I do. I know the Bible says that you should apply wisdom, and that people perish because of lack of wisdom. But I also apply wisdom because, not as much as I would love to be Mr. Corrector, I also need to be corrected. And sometimes you also need to like relax and just pray that people learn from the errors of their ways. Or maybe not from the errors because you care about them. But at the end of the day, I'm also not a perfect person. So I'm as, should I say clueless? I am kind of as clueless as you are. So I'm not going to come here and be like your sensei. I'm not really your teacher. I'm just a normal person like you at the end of the day. But from the little I know, just be a person that self-reflects on their attitude, on their behavior. Constantly self-reflect. Constantly self-reflect.